Okay, good morning, students. Good morning, one and all. Operating systems. I don't know how many people previously listen my introduction. No problem. Now I am going to tell about operating systems. Going to know about operating system. First of all, we have to go and look for syllabus. Operating systems. This is the syllabus for third year first semester students. We are having 3 lectures. Operating systems. The objectives of operating system are study the basic concepts and functions of operating system, understand the structure and functions of operating system, learn about processes, threads, and scheduling algorithms, understand the principles of concurrency and deadlocks, learn various memory management schemes, study IO management and file management systems, learn the basics of Linux system and perform administrative tasks on Linux servers. Okay, introduction. Coming to unit 1, introduction to operating system concepts. So here I'm going to discuss about introduction to operating systems. After that, types of operating systems like batch systems, multiple operating systems, multi-processing systems, like that, real-time operating systems. We will discuss all types of operating systems here. Next, operating system concepts. What are all the concepts available for operating systems? We will discuss over here. And operating system services, the available system services to operating system, we will discuss here. Next, introduction to system call and system call types. Suppose whenever you are going to start your CPU, then CPU give an instruction to operating system, so that one system call will going to be executed. That system call will execute the bootstrap program. Then only our CPU is going to start and our system is ready for do any type of operations. That concept will cover in system calls. Next, unit 2, process management. So here process concept, the process state diagram, process control block like PCB.
Voice break also.
Hello, now is it audible? Now my voice is continuously coming.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Process management. What is a process? Process is nothing but a program which is under execution is called as process. A program which is under execution is called as a process. Suppose if you want to write a program for addition of two numbers, you already written a program. Your program is going to compile. After compilation, you are going to execute your program. So the process is nothing but the addition program which is going to be executed. is called as process. The program which is under execution is called as process. So here addition of two numbers program we are going to execute. So that is called as process. There are so many states in process state diagram. There are so many states like ready state, running state, execute state. So many states are there. All those states will be covered in this process state diagram. Next, process control block. There are so many processes because we are using multi-processing system. Take one example, multi-processing system. What is a multi-processing system? At a time, we are going to execute multiple processes in our system. That is called multi-processing system. Listen once. What is multi-processing system? At a time, we are going to execute more than one process. It is called as multi-processing system. So we are using multi-processing system. Suppose if you are using multiple processes at a time, the operating system must control all the processes. The operating system has the responsibility to control all the processes. So by using process control block, the operating system control the processes. The operating system controls the processes. From where the operating system controls? By using process control block. It will be covered in this topic. Next, process scheduling. For the sake of process scheduling, we are having process scheduling algorithms. Let us take one small example. Suppose elevator control example is there. Elevator control is nothing but lift. Suppose whenever we are going to an apartment, if you want to go for 10th floor, suppose you are in the ground floor, the lift is at 5th floor. Whenever you press the down button, the lift came from 5th floor to ground floor. Meanwhile, any person before you press 6th floor. Suppose the lift is at 5th floor. If the request came from ground floor and the same time request came from 6th floor, the elevator will goes to 6th floor only, because the traveling time for 5th floor to 6th floor is very less when compared to 5th floor to ground floor. So such type of scheduling will be done by our operating system. Once again, I am telling, suppose if you take the example of a lift, 100 floors ఉన్నాయి అనుకోండి అమ్మా, సపోజ్ 100 ఫ్లోర్స్ ఉన్నాయి, లిఫ్ట్ 99 ఫ్లోర్ లో ఉందనుకోండి, సపోజ్ లిఫ్ట్ 90th ఫ్లోర్ 90 లిఫ్ట్ 90 ఫ్లోర్ లో ఉంది. సో ఇప్పుడు గ్రౌండ్ ఫ్లోర్ లో నుంచి ఎవరైనా బటన్ ప్రెస్ చేశారనుకోండి, వాడు ప్రెస్ చేసిన ఒక 2 seconds కి 92nd ఫ్లోర్ లో నుంచి రిక్వెస్ట్ వచ్చింది. ఇప్పుడు ఫస్ట్ ప్రయారిటీ వచ్చింది కదా అని చెప్పి గ్రౌండ్ ఫ్లోర్కి వెళ్ళింది అనుకోండి, 90th ఫ్లోర్ నుండి గ్రౌండ్ ఫ్లోర్కి వెళ్ళాలంటే 90 floors ట్రావెల్ చేయాలి. అదే 90th ఫ్లోర్ నుండి 92nd ఫ్లోర్కి వెళ్ళాలి అంటే 2 floors ట్రావెల్ చేస్తే సరిపోయింది. సో అలాంటి డెసిషన్ తీసుకోవాలి అంటే మన ప్రాసెస్ ని ఎవరో ఒకళ్ళు షెడ్యూలింగ్ చేయాలి. ఆ షెడ్యూలింగ్ ఎవరు చేస్తారు అంటే ప్రాసెస్ షెడ్యూలింగ్ అల్గారిథమ్స్. దట్ కాన్సెప్ట్ విల్ బి కవర్డ్ ఇన్ దిస్ ప్రాసెస్ షెడ్యూలింగ్ algorithms. Do you understand the process scheduling? Anybody please respond. Do you understand this process scheduling?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anyway, it will cover in second unit, no problem. I will discuss there also. For brief idea, I am saying all these things. Next, operating system on processes. Inter-process communication. Say, for the sake of this inter-process communication, we are using multiple processes at a time. Suppose, let us take one example. I am playing chess game in my computer. for the sake of chess game, I don't need any audio. So that meanwhile in background, I am playing my interested classical music. So at a time, I am doing two operations. One operation is playing chess and another operation is listening music. Meanwhile, operating system doing so many operations. Operating system has the responsibility to start the system. It is already going there in background, and it already controlling the processes. It is also going in background. And meanwhile, I am going to give two more services, that is playing chess game and listening music. So operating system must communicate from one process to another process. The control goes to one process to another process. There must be a communication. Unless or until there is no communication, the processes are not going to be work. If the processes are going to work simultaneously, we need inter-process communication.
ఇప్పుడు హోస్ట్ ఎండ్ చేసింది మళ్ళీ స్టార్ట్ ఆ జాయినింగ్ మీటింగ్ నొక్కి దాని మీద మళ్ళీ నొక్కను. ఇట్లా కొట్టి పేస్ట్ అని వచ్చి నొక్కి
Inter-process communication. Okay, do you understand this one? Inter-process communication. In between the processes, there must be a communication. Unless until there is no communication, the processes are not going to be executed. So this is most important. Whenever we are going to use multiple processing systems, we need inter-process communication. Suppose, let us take one example. If I am going to take a class at 10:30 p.m., I must inform to you people. Unless or until I am not going to give any communication to you, do you people join? No. We must need a communication. Here processes are, as a faculty, I am a process, being a student, you are the process. We both need communication. Unless or until there is no communication, I am unable to start the class. So that is nothing but inter-process communication. Next, threading issues. What is a thread? Thread is nothing but a runtime entity. So whenever we are going to execute a process, each and every process must have more than one thread, at least one thread. Each and every process must have at least one thread. The threading concept will be explained there, no problem. And scheduling criteria, I already given one example for this lift. Next, coming to third unit, this is the most important unit, memory management. Nowadays, it will place a crucial role. You people already daily using this memory management concept in your real-time world also. What is a memory? What is a memory? Memory is nothing but a storage location of our data. Memory is nothing but a storage location of our data. What is memory? Memory is nothing but a storage location of our data. So memory management. What is the purpose of doing memory management? What is the purpose of doing memory management? Suppose you are writing a C program. You are writing a C program. Addition of two numbers program you are going to be write. For that purpose, you are taken three variables, int a, b, c. Whenever you are declaring these three variables as integer data type, at that time, for each and every variable, the compiler is going to allocate 2 bytes of memory. These three variables are stored in same memory? No. Each and every variable will be stored in different memory locations. Who will take care of all these things? Operating system memory management scheme taken care all these things, because memory management must be done. Otherwise, the same memory location will be shared by two different variables. Then there must be a collision. So for that purpose, we must need memory management scheme. Swapping. So memory must be swapping from one location to another location. Depending on the user requirement only, the memory must be traveled from one location to another location, transferred from one location to another location. That is called memory swapping. And continuous memory allocation. Suppose if you are using an array data type, array of 10, whenever you are going to define a variable with data type array, then what should the operating system will do? Entire array will be stored in memory location. Continuous memory location will be allocated to that array. And paging, it is also one memory management scheme. Next, paging, structure of page table, segmentation. Segmentation is nothing but we partitioned the memory into different segments. We partitioned the memory into different segments. That is called segmentation. Some persons are joined with their names. Please edit your names. Jyoti is visible here. Please give your roll number and admit with your roll number only. Next, virtual memory management. What is virtual? Virtual is nothing but it is not available physically. It is not available physically. That is called virtual memory. So nowadays it plays a crucial role, virtual memory, because whenever we are using cloud systems, whenever you are using nowadays, each and everything is going to be stored in cloud only. All software companies are using cloud for their data storage because cloud reduces the burden on them. Suppose let me take one example. Suppose you are going to develop a website. Suppose we are going to develop for a website for a small organization like Bolt Manufacturing Company. In the Bolt Manufacturing Company, so many types of bolts are there. 1 mm bolt, 2 mm, 3 mm, like that, 10 centimeters, up to so many sizes are available for bolts. For that, the database is very small, database is needed, no problem. If you are going to develop a website like social networking website like LinkedIn or Facebook, like that, you are going to develop one website, or TikTok. So for that website, you need large amount of storage. Let me take one example, Facebook. So many users are there in the Facebook. So if we are using your only single database, it will be burden to the company because you have to maintain one database administrator and hundreds of employees worked behind that database. But if you use cloud computing, then the database administration and data maintenance, data management, all those things taken care by the cloud. So whenever you are going to use cloud computing, you need virtual memory. You need virtual memory because your data is not going to be stored in your system. Your data is stored in where? In cloud. So your data is stored in cloud. For that sake, virtually we created one link, one memory. In that memory, we placed our data and give connection to cloud and upload this data to cloud. Up to that, we create one virtual memory. And demand paging. All those things comes here. I will discuss whenever we are going to discuss in third unit. I will discuss all these memory management schemes. Next, coming to unit 4, concurrency. What is concurrency? At a time we are going to be execute more than one process, so that is called concurrency. Whenever, so sometimes we are going to use this concurrency situation. So parallelly, in some situations we are going to execute so many programs parallelly at a time. So due to this concurrency, there may be some collision occur. There may be some collision occur. So we have to maintain processes in a proper manner so that collision must not be occur. So for that purpose, we are using the critical section problem. In the critical section problem, at a time one process is there in the critical section. One process is going to execute. After execution of that process, from critical section, the operating system taken another process and operating system will execute that process. Meanwhile, one more process will enter into critical section, so that we are not going to execute parallel processes. If we are going to execute parallel processes, there may be a chance of collision, but we are taking processes from critical section, there no need of collision. Don't worry about all these things. I will discuss in future, but meanwhile, what is this concept? For your understandability sake only I am saying. Next, synchronization of hardware. It is most important. Synchronization of hardware. There must be a synchronization between software and hardware. Then only that hardware must work properly. Suppose, let me take one example. If you are going to take one printout from your system, if you are going to take one printout from your system, then what you will do? You simply open your document and select print statement. Suppose this PDF, if I want to take print out this PDF, then what should I do? Go to file. In that there is one option, print option. Select the print option. Then I am going to take a printout. Whenever I am going to click on OK, then this document is going to print. So here what in background, what is going? Whenever you are asking for a printout, print request, whenever we are asking a print request, at that time, what operating system will do? At that time, operating system is going to do a request is given to the software. In background, the request is given to software and the request is processed to hardware. If the hardware power is off, you forgot to on printer printer button, then one error message will come. The printer power is off. Where this error message coming from? Your software sending a request to the printer. At that time, printer is not ready because you switched off the printer. So by seeing this instruction, you are going to on your computer. You are going to on your printer. Whenever you are on printer switch, then the software going to execute. So every time whenever you are going to use any hardware, the hardware service provider will give you one soft copy of that hardware. So we must need software to execute any hardware. So there must be a communication between software and hardware. Those synchronization of hardware must be placed here. And semaphores, classic problems of synchronization. Monitors is nothing but we should monitor the situation in each and every time. Next, principles of deadlock. It is also one of the interested topic and very useful topic and important topic. What is a deadlock? What is a deadlock? Let me tell you with an example. సపోజ్ ఒకసారి చూడండి అమ్మా, చిన్న ఎగ్జాంపుల్. ఏటీఎం సిస్టమ్ ఉంది. సపోజ్ మీ బ్యాంక్ అకౌంట్లో 1000 రూపీస్ ఉన్నాయి. ఆ 1000 రూపీస్ మీరు విత్డ్రా చేసుకుందాం అనుకుంటున్నారు. 1000 రూపీస్ మీరు విత్డ్రా చేసుకుందాం అనుకుంటున్నారు. మీ యూజర్ నేమ్ పాస్వర్డ్ మీ ఫాదర్కి ఇచ్చారు. మీ యూజర్ నేమ్ పాస్వర్డ్, ఆన్లైన్ బ్యాంకింగ్ యూజర్ నేమ్ పాస్వర్డ్ మీ ఫాదర్కి ఇచ్చారు. మీరేమో ఏటీఎం దగ్గరికి వెళ్ళారు. మీరిద్దరూ అనుకోకుండా ఒకే టైంలో ఒకే 1000 రూపీస్ డ్రా చేద్దాం అనుకుంటున్నారు. మీ అకౌంట్లో ఉంది 1000 రూపీసే. వాడుకుంటే మీరు వాడుకోవాలి, లేదా మీ ఫాదర్ వాడుకోవాలి. 1000 ఇద్దరు ఒకేసారి రిక్వెస్ట్ ఇస్తే ఇద్దరికి 1000 రూపీస్ ఇస్తుందా? ఇవ్వదు. ఎందుకని? మీ ఏటీఎం మీ బ్యాంక్ అకౌంట్లో ఉంది ఎంత? 1000 రూపీస్. సో ఆ సిచ్యువేషన్లో 1000కి 2 మెంబర్స్ దగ్గర నుండి రిక్వెస్ట్ వస్తే, సపోజ్ మీ సిస్టంలో మీ అకౌంట్లో 2000 ఉంటే ఇద్దరికి ప్రాసెస్ చేసిద్ది 1000 నో ప్రాబ్లం. కానీ మీ అకౌంట్లో 1000 రూపీసే ఉన్నాయి. మీ ఫాదర్ లాగిన్ అయ్యి ఎట్ ఏ టైమ్ ఆన్లైన్లో పర్చేజ్కి రిక్వెస్ట్ పెట్టాడు. ఏటీఎం మిషన్ దగ్గర సేమ్ టైంలో మీరు రిక్వెస్ట్ పెట్టారు. సో ఎవరికి ప్రయారిటీ ఇవ్వాలో తెలియదు. కాబట్టి ఆపరేటింగ్ సిస్టమ్ ఎవరికి ప్రయారిటీ ఇవ్వకుండా ఆ సిచ్యువేషన్ని స్టాప్ చేసిద్ది, ఆ ప్రాసెస్ని స్టాప్ చేసిద్ది. ఆ ప్రాసెస్ని స్టాప్ చేయటాన్ని ఏమంటారంటే డెడ్ లాక్ అంట. సో వీ మస్ట్ అవాయిడ్ డెడ్ లాక్. So there may be some algorithms like deadlock prevention algorithms. Before coming deadlock, you prevent the deadlock, or whenever we are having any deadlock, recover from deadlock or avoid the deadlock. So these are all the principles of deadlock. మా deadlock అర్థమైందా? ఇంకొకసారి చెప్పమంటారా?
అర్థమైంది.
ఓకే అమ్మా. నెక్స్ట్ 5th unit, file system interface. So whenever we are going to use any operating system, we need to store our files, we need to access our files, we need to relocate our files from one location to another location, or sometimes we are going to share our files. So file system also plays a crucial role in operating system. Suppose, let me take one example. Suppose if we want to run a C program, that program is already existed in our hard disk, then what we will do? We open turbo compiler. In that turbo compiler, go to file menu and click on open. Then we will open the existing file. So whenever we are going to execute already existed files, we are open the files from the hard disk. So we need file management. So in that file, suppose we want to do any modifications. So then what we will do? Suppose I'll given one program, addition of 2 numbers program. You are taken 2 integers and add those 2 integers and take an output. After that, after executing, you may have one doubt. Sir is asking addition of 2 numbers, but he did not tell anything about the data type. If my program is going to execute for floating point numbers, no, because you taken data type as integer, then it will come error for floating point. So for that purpose, you are going to change your C program. So in file systems, we are going to do read, write, execute operations. Those are all concepts covered here. And accessibility. My voice is audible? Is there any breaking come? Hello, anyone respond? Is my voice is audible or any disturbances?
It's audible, sir.
Okay, thank you. File systems. So read, write, execute all those operations we will done here. And next, access methods. So whenever we are going to use file system, there is some access methods. There are some access methods available. Let me take one example. Suppose
సార్ వెయిటింగ్ రూమ్ లో కొంతమంది వెయిట్ చేస్తున్నారు సార్, యాక్సెప్ట్ చేయండి.
నేను యాక్సెప్ట్ చేయనమ్మా, ఎందుకంటే 10 minutes లాక్ పీరియడ్ ఇచ్చాను. ఇప్పుడు టైం ఎంతమ్మా?
సార్ నెట్వర్క్ ఇష్యూ సార్.
మా ఒక్క విషయం మాత్రం నేను సిన్సియర్గా అండ్ సీరియస్గా చెప్తున్నాను. ప్లీజ్ లాగిన్ అప్ టు 9:10. సపోజ్ క్లాస్ స్టార్ట్స్ 9 o'clock. There is only grace period for 10 minutes. Please log in before 9:10. For today, I am going to add these people, no problem. Nobody is there in waiting room. All of are joined. I already admit all the people. Nobody is there in waiting room. Next, accessing. Suppose access rights. Suppose I conduct first mid exam. First mid exam is over. Then the correction rights will be given to only me. Is that right will be given to students? No, because the students accessing right only to write the exam. The evaluation process will be taken care by the instructor or the faculty. So like that, in file management system also there is some accessing rights. Each and every accessing right will be taken care by our operating system. The file management system access rights will be taken care by our operating system. And file sharing, protection also very much important. For the sake of file management system, the protection is very much important. You people are all are using WhatsApp. In that WhatsApp chat, there must be an end-to-end protection. Whenever you observe, if you're going to start a new chat, at that time the message will come. End-to-end protection is enabled for you. So the message, whatever you are typing the message, it is only visible to the sender and receiver only. No other person is going to see that message. That type of protection is there in WhatsApp. Like that, whenever you are going to use any type of file, there must be protection mechanism. That protection mechanism and all those things taken care by your operating system. Next, file implementation system. File system implementation. In that, file system structure. Suppose we are using operating system and it is multi-processing system. Each and every file system have different types. Let us take one example. Suppose let me take the example of programming languages. You yourself using C language and yourself using Java language. Both languages are you are using. At that time, the file structure of C language is different and the file structure of Java language is different. So C language files are stored with .c format and Java language files are all stored with .java format. So file structure for the C language files different from file structure from Java language. Whenever you are using .NET, at that time the .NET file structure also different. But the operating system manage all these file structures. So each and every file system have their own structure, but our operating system must be taken care of all files structures. So depending on, suppose if you open a turbo compiler, if you open Java program, there must be an error message will come. It is not a .c program, it is .java program. You must open .c program only. Like that error message will come. That message instruction given by operating system. No other person is going to give that instruction. That instruction is given by operating system. Next, free space management. What is free space management? Suppose I am using, already I am declared 10 variables. If we want to declare another variable, the operating system itself checks the space. Wherever the memory is available, operating system will take care the memory allocation and all those things. So the operating system will check where the free space is available, and that free space only the operating system is going to store their files. Next, mass storage structure. Like scheduling algorithms, there are disk scheduling algorithms. Suppose, let me take one example. If we want to format your system, at that time, there are some options. Boot your CD from hard disk, boot your data from hard disk, boot operating system from hard disk, or boot operating system from pen drive, or boot operating system from CD. Hard disk, pen drive, CD. These are all options. So like that, we will develop disk scheduling algorithms. Disk scheduling algorithm. What is the purpose of disk? Because we are using mass storage structure. We are using mass storage structure. That's why we need disk scheduling and device drivers. Each and every device must have drivers. Suppose if you purchase your one hard disk, at that time we must need hard disk drivers. If you purchase any speaker, we need speaker drivers. If you purchase any hardware, that hardware device drivers must be there. If you don't install those drivers, that device is unable to use. If we want to use that device, we must need that device drivers are installed in our system. The device drivers also taken care by our operating system. Next, coming to 60th unit, Linux system. Linux system, it is most popular operating system, Linux, because whenever you are going to install any operating system, my best suggestion is, or experts suggestion is, going to use and install Linux only. Going to use and install Linux only, because Linux is open source software. Linux is open source software. No need to purchase. It is freely available. And one more thing, what is open source? Open source is nothing but it is freely available and it gives access to any modifications. Suppose if you purchased, let me take example of Windows operating system. If you go for Windows operating system, every time you need to purchase, because it is a copyrighted version to Microsoft. So they give validation for 1 year. After 1 year, in your desktop screen, a message will be shown like your operating system is not genuine. So if you click that one, it goes to Microsoft product purchase. So like that, it is not a free source. But coming to Linux, it is a free source. And compared to Windows, Linux providing much security, because Windows is user friendly. Whenever you are going to use user friendly operating system, it must be user friendly to whom? To hackers also, it must be user friendly. Whenever it is user friendly to hackers, our system is not secured. When you are going to Linux, it is not user friendly. There is no user friendly nature. So protection will be taken care by Linux operating system because it is not user friendly. And what are the processes and inter-process communication, synchronization, all those things comes over here. Next, Android software platform. Android also plays a vital role in our mobile operating systems. Especially in mobile operating systems, Android plays a crucial role. In previous, there are Java mobiles. What is the drawback of Java mobiles? The major drawback of Java mobiles is if you want to play any game, whatever may be the game given by your mobile phone, that game only you play. But while coming to Android, whatever may be the interested game to you, that game will be installed from, you are going to install from your Android Play Store or Google Play Store. Go through Google Play Store and install whatever game you need. That game will be installed and play by you. But in previous, whatever may be the software given by the mobile phones, that software only we are going to use. There are no options like Android application. That's why Android becomes most popular. All this Android platform will be going to discuss here. And what are all the outcomes? The outcomes of this operating system subject is design various scheduling algorithms. There are some scheduling algorithms I already discussed. And let me take one example. Already I discussed elevator control like that. Or else something like if you go for any shopping mall, when you go for billing counter, there must be a queue. You must follow that queue only. That is called first come first service. If any highest priority come, any customer is well known to the supermarket, then he directly come to billing counter. At that time, the supermarket provide a priority to the customer. He is most important customer to them. At that time, they will given priority. That is one type of algorithm. Round robin. For one person there is some billing, some other person some billing, like that there is some algorithms are there. Like that we are going to develop these scheduling algorithms. 4 types of algorithms are there: first come first service, shortest job first, round robin, and priority. First come first service. Whenever a person comes first, the priority given to that person only. First come first service, like supermarket billing. Second one, shortest job first. Our elevator control, lift example. In that lift example, suppose lift is at 90th floor. 2 persons are giving request at the same time. First person giving request from ground floor, second person giving request from 92nd floor. So the request, the priority will be given to shortest job, because from 90th floor to ground floor it will take lot of time. But whereas from 90th floor to 92nd floor, it will take small amount of time. So waiting for 90 floors is not different from 92 floors. The ground floor person will wait, no problem. At that time, shortest scheduling algorithm, shortest job first algorithm will be given priority. Next, priority scheduling algorithm. In the schedule itself, we are given priorities 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that. Whatever may be the priority comes, that process will going to be execute. That is called priority. And coming to round robin, there are 4 processes. For first 5 minutes, process P1 is executed, and P1 stops its execution after 5 minutes. And second, process P2 is going to be.
Sir, your voice is not audible properly, sir.
Okay. Now it is audible?
No.
Now is it audible?
Sir, your voice is not audible.
Hello. Now is it
No.
audible?
No, sir.
Now? Hello. Is it audible now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next, apply the principles of concurrency. Suppose at a time more than two processes are going to be executed at that time, concurrency situation occur. We have to avoid concurrency. For that, we develop principles concurrency. So we apply some algorithms. Those algorithms will cover here. Apply the principles of concurrency. Whatever the principles may be available, we apply all those principles to this concurrency. Next, design deadlock prevention and avoidance algorithms. We have to design one deadlock. If deadlock occurs, then we go for prevention and avoidance algorithms. And different
Sir, again, it's not audible.
there is no problem in my system. I think please check your system because it is audible to other persons. Anybody tell me, is my voice is not audible?
ఆసిలేట్ అవుతుంది సార్ వాయిస్ కరెక్ట్ రావట్లా.
వాయిస్ బ్రేక్ అవుతుంది సార్.
Now tell me, is it audible? Is it come properly without breakings?
Yes, sir.